Today I'm going to show you how to fix the condensation line from your air conditioning system. What's happened is the actual pipe was getting clogged. This PVC piece that came out of here was clogged, that I couldn't snake it out, so I had to go ahead and cut that off. I'm just going to replace the whole piece. So what this does is it basically takes the condensation out of your air conditioning. As it's cooling the air, you get the condensation buildup and it comes out, it drains out of the system out here and then drains out outside your house. And once it clogs up, it can back up water inside your house. Mine's in the crawl space, so I don't really have a lot to worry about except for some wet mud right now. So I'm going to go and swap this out. Just go ahead and swap out the entire piece. Went ahead and bought all the parts, and I'll go ahead and show you how to set that up. But right now I'm just going to go ahead and disconnect it. I'm just going to wipe off the loose debris. Anytime you're dealing with anything with adhesives, you want to make sure you have a clean surface. So this is just a mildly moist paper towel. And then what I'm going to do after this is I'm going to go ahead and just prime everything, let that set up, then I can actually do the gluing. So I'm going to be using all-purpose PVC, CPVC primer. You can get this any big box store. You always use the purple stuff first, that's your primer, and then you use the glue second. One of the things you want to do when you're doing this is go ahead and dry fit everything just the way you want it first. What I do is I just take a fine point Sharpie and I'm going to mark on these how they go together. Because once you're gluing them in the final phase, like if I want this pipe to be 90 degrees like this, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on like this, and I'm going to slowly turn it until I'm completely flush. That's what you want to do with the glue. So what helps you is if you put a little mark on these where they're supposed to align, that way you know exactly how you want all these pieces to go together. So at least there's at a 90. Now I've got it where I want it. I'm going to go ahead and mark both of them. And you can mark anywhere you want on there, just mark on both pieces so you can actually see the mark. I try to go a little bit long here just in case this didn't completely fit snug. That way when you're pushing it in with the glue, it will, in case you slide over the mark, you'll have a little bit more that you'll still see. So that's the whole connection. That's the setup, and this is again just for your HVAC condensation line. This actually screws straight into my unit. So the water is going to come out of there, drip down here. It goes to the P-trap. Most of your plumbing in your house is to prevent gases from coming back in the house. And with your air conditioning unit, the focus of the P-trap here is just to prevent loss of suction, because it'll actually start sucking air through the entire condensation pipe. So it just affects the efficiency of the unit, kind of like an air leak on the unit. Basically the way this works is this is going to hold water. So if this is level, you're going to have like a little belly of water right here that'll hold, and as this water drains in, it'll pour out here, go down to the main line and drain out to wherever your condensation line drains. Really the only piece I need to mark now is the T. And when you're putting the T on, it should have a slow fall down the condensation line. So what I try to do is make this to where it's slightly off. So it's not 90 degrees straight up to what this is. It's going to be slightly pitched a little bit. The bottom will be a little bit in and the top will be a little bit this way. The purpose of that again is that's going to force you to kind of make this 90-degree pitch. When you do the elbow down here, it'll give it a little bit of a fall right there. So you're starting where you're starting with that condensation line, you're starting with a fall, and then you can just follow that same plane all the way out, but just make sure that you're supporting that as well, because you don't want any dips in that condensation line, because that's going to create issues to where the water's not flowing properly. So you can see now that I put this angle on here, you can see that it rocks back and forth, so it's not perfectly flat. That's the angle I want. So you can see my mark there. Now I have my alignment, so when I come in at the 45 like this, I'm going to slowly turn it until they line completely up like that. All right, now everything's marked up. I'm going to go ahead and use my primer. If you've never used the primer before, I would tell you to put something down on either your table. This is kind of a junk table, not a big deal, but I would make sure that you're using something to protect the table. Some junk clothes. This stuff stains pretty much immediately. It will stain your fingers, so if you need to wear gloves, wear some gloves. They have a lot of fumes, so you don't want to be in a non-ventilated area when you're using this stuff. Make sure that you're in a ventilated area. It does already come with a brush. Get a little bit around the edges. You don't want this thing soaking wet because it's going to sling this stuff everywhere. And then you're just going to go inside the tube, do a quick little circle around, inside the other. I'm going to do all these at one time, and you just want everything nice and purple. Don't worry about anything on the outside, none of that matters. A little of this goes a long way, so. You don't want to dunk the entire thing back in there too, just kind of get right a little bit at the tip of it so you're not completely drenching the thing again. Pick up the inside, just kind of do them this way. These little insert pieces, you really just want to get the entire thing. That gives you a little bit of leeway in case it slides further than you thought it would. This is just prepping that surface to where that glue is going to bond perfectly. Let them dry and always close this stuff back. It is, again, highly vaporish, so it will completely dry out very fast. Didn't do as good as I thought. I got a little bit of purple. You can see that stuff pretty much stains immediately. I'll have that purple on me for a while now, but that's why you probably should wear gloves. All right, all the primer set up. I'm gonna go ahead and use the glue now. Same technique. You're just gonna swirl around the inside or the outside, whichever. Put glue on all pieces you're gonna glue together, and then slide them together, and then I'll do a quarter turn while I'm putting them in. Some of the excess glue, just gently go around it. Going for the mark side here. This is the one that I marked on both sides here. Or not. Get that quarter turn, and now it's lined up. Once I screw this into the actual unit, then I'll go ahead and glue this last piece and tie it all together. But that'll do that in the crawl space. I'm just trying to save as much work from going into the crawl space by doing as much as you can, not in the crawl space. Glue all around. Again, gonna insert it. I don't have a side on this one, so insert it and then go ahead and turn it as you're get it nice and snug, and now it's good to go. So there's my mark. Other piece we marked is the T, so there's my 2 marks there. So let's go ahead and do the T. And put them together like that, and you can see a quarter turn back. And basically the reason I have this plug piece here is to do the clean out. So once this is in place, if you ever want to clean this drain out, a lot of times you can pour like a quarter cap of bleach in there just to keep the algae out of the lines. Glue going. And again, this one doesn't have anything specific it's going to, but I still do the quarter turn. While I'm doing this, I'm going to glue the other side on this one too. And this one is for the top. So this is my top piece right here. And then again, this one doesn't have anything to fit, so I just do the turn as I'm going down. Some dripping going on there. Just turn it while you're going down. This one I'm going to wipe the excess off just in case when I'm doing the additional downstairs. All right, so this piece will go down here. The plug will go up top. This piece is already glued. This will end up going in here. And then this will actually go to the main line going out. The rest will be done in the crawl space. All right, so here's the connector and everything I made. I went ahead and set up the other pieces. Since this is supposed to be a watertight fitting, I am going to go ahead and put some Teflon tape on there just to make sure that nothing starts to seep or leak out of here. Not really necessary. None of this is actually a pressurized line. This is all just drainage, just an extra precaution. Honestly, it makes this slide on sometimes easier too with the Teflon. Just hand tighten that. I already kind of have this position where I want this to go already lined up in my head. I'm just trying to make this have a little bit more of a tilt so that I'm a little higher up on this end to where the water will drain, which is fine as long as you don't ever, make this point obviously higher than down here. So as long as this is lower, you're always good. It's just, again, as the water pours out here, it's just pushing this water out to this piece here. Mainly here when you're doing this, you just want to make sure that this is level enough to keep a little bit of water down here. A lot of times when they assemble these, they don't even glue together. A lot of times they just hand fit them. Go ahead and make your turn. And that is right there. So while that's setting up, I'm going to get my other piece. All right, I went ahead and got my additional supports tied on this line now. So I'm going to go ahead and glue it in place. That way there's no additional stress on this. This should be set up by now. This as well should be set up. Again, it doesn't take that long for this glue to set up. First, this piece. On this one, I'm not going to get to do the turn, so I'm just going to press it down and check the line.
I hope this helped you. Thanks for watching.